Hello. Happy Thursday. Hello. Happy Thursday. It's afternoon here for me in Connecticut, but as you drop in, I would love to know who you are, where you might be joining in from. I'm just going to give it probably a minute or so to allow people to come on in before we go ahead and get started. Some people might be on their lunch break. Some people might be having morning coffee, so I'd love to know where you might be joining in from. This is a bit of a different time, a different day and time that I'm doing this. I've been getting a little bit more busy on evenings, which is a great thing for me, but I wanted to make sure I could still be able to do these live trainings for everybody. So let's see, we've got Christy. Hey, hi. I see some other people joining in, so yeah, feel free to drop a quick comment. Let me know who you are. The comments are a little bit delayed. I'll let you know about that. Hi, Georgianne. So you might type something and I might not see it for maybe 20 seconds or so. I do know there's a bit of a delay there with Facebook Live. So great. Well, I am going to go ahead and get started. So as people continue to join in, again, feel free to say hi, but today's topic is all about streamlining and repurposing your social media content. So I hear from a lot of individuals, clients of mine, individuals that are peers saying, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm spending so much time on social media. I can't escape it. I'm always on it. I'm always creating content. I feel like it's a huge part of my business. And social media should be. That's how you get that organic reach. You engage with your audience. But there are so many other things that go into owning and running a business, and you don't want to spend a majority or all of that time creating your content, because that means you're not nurturing your clients, you're not building relationships, you're not networking, you're not doing client work that you need to be doing. So there's a lot of other things that go into a business outside of social media content. So if you can optimize your time when you're creating your content, you free up time to do those other things. And you feel like you're not spending all of your time on your social media. So when we say streamlining, hi Kristen, when we say streamlining, really what that means is it's just increasing the speed and ease of the activity that you're doing. So when it comes to social media content, you're increasing the speed at which you're getting it done, and you're making it easier for yourself. That's what streamlining is all about. Then when we talk about repurposing, it's adapting a piece of information for a different purpose. So you're repurposing it, you're using it for something different. You're not just copying and pasting. That's not really what repurposing is. It's adapting that information and using it in different forms, using it in a different way. So really my objective with this training is to get you to understand how you can spend less time and effort to create social media content without lessening the value of it. So less time doesn't mean less value necessarily. It just means that you're still executing what you need to get done for your marketing, but you're being a bit more strategic about it. So remember, social media outreach and engagement is really critical. That's how you're getting in front of your people, your audience, those potential clients that you have. So it is important to be on there and to be active on there. More than half the world's population is on at least some form of social media, at least some platform. So that means your audience is on there. They want to see you. They're scrolling, they're shopping, they're looking for services, they're engaging with their friends. So you want to make sure that you're in front of them. And what I see being one of the big issues with social media marketing is people will say, oh, I'll just wait until that day and then I'll create that content. I'll wake up and I'll do it first thing in the morning. But we all know what happens. Life happens, right? Other things come up. Maybe you don't feel well that day anymore. Maybe there's an emergency you have to address. Maybe meetings pop up or other priorities. So then what happens? You just, forget about it. I'll do it tomorrow. And that's okay. You can do that once in a while. You don't have to post every single day. But where that becomes an issue is if that's normal, right? If you have an unpredictable schedule, and all of a sudden days are going by and that, oh, I'll wake up and do it in the morning, it's just not happening for you. And that's where you're not being seen by your audience anymore. And when that happens and that becomes very regular for you, you're not going to be top of mind for them when they're thinking about your service. They might see other people that provide the same service and they're seeing them regularly, and now you're a little out of mind for them. You're not the first person that they think about anymore. So having a strategy and a process for content creation alleviates you from that daily grind of, oh, I gotta wake up and do this quick. What am I gonna post? What content do I wanna do? How do I wanna do it? There's a lot to think about in the morning or afternoon whenever you post your content. So it lessens the time it takes for you to create the content, and it allows you to have a strategy for what the content actually is. For those of you, which is most of the audience, you're working, you have a 9 to 5, and you're trying to grow your business. That means you don't have a lot of time. Your time is very limited. So you want to make sure you're using it wisely and that you have a strategy behind how you're managing it, especially when it comes to your social media. So what I'll first start with, I'm going to break this into 2 main topics, repurposing and streamlining. I'll start with repurposing because this is a really cool technique. I have saved so much time. I feel like instead of being that person that wakes up every day and is wondering what I'm going to post, where I'm going to post it, what the topic is, I go in with a strategy and it completely alleviates me from that stress. So this is a game changer for me, and I would love for anybody who's watching this to give it a shot. It's allowed me to significantly cut down on the time it takes to create the content. It allows me to have a theme and a strategy around it, and it keeps my audience engaged because they know what I'll be educating them on throughout an entire week. So first what I do is I start with a large piece of content. And this can mean multiple things depending on you and how you like to create your content. It could be a blog, it could be a podcast episode, a newsletter, it could be a script that you're using for a live training, but it's that bigger piece of content that you kind of capture your thoughts around, you do a brain dump around. And I'm going to put blog there because that's typically what mine is centered around. So it's a larger piece of content. Not a post, but really something where you're writing a lot of detail. It might be a page or 2 pages. It's just that larger brain dump of a topic that you want to be educating and providing value on for your audience. Now, if you don't do this yet, if you don't have that large piece of content that you work off of every week, first and foremost, I would challenge you to start doing that because it's another way to get in front of your audience. If you have a blog, if you have a podcast, a newsletter, if you do live trainings, like I do every week. It's another way to attract people because sometimes it's hard to put a lot of value into a post, right? There's character counts, and on a post, people will only read so much anyway, right? They just want to be scrolling through. So this larger piece of content are for those that really want to consume. They want to really get a lot of value in one place. They don't want to do it over a cadence of multiple posts or podcast episodes. They want to get it all at once. They want to get that strategy. And you can also post it multiple places. You can put a blog on your website, a podcast episode on your website, a video training on Facebook, website, wherever. So it's just, again, another place for your audience to get value from you outside of just a social media post. However, in the meantime, if you decide you don't want to do that or you're going to do it at another point in time, what you can do is simply do a brain dump on a piece of paper of a topic in your industry that you want to spend several posts educating your audience on. So for me, of course, this week, this was my topic, streamlining and repurposing. So I have posts on social media this week regarding this. This was my big topic for the week. So think about what's a topic in your industry that your audience wants to be educated on. What's a pain point or a challenge that they have? What's something that is causing them issues or trouble? Think about that. And then do a brain dump. How might you educate and help them? So that would be for your larger piece of content. You're going to start here. Next, what you do is, this counts as your first piece, right? That's number one. That can be a post with a link to your blog. It can be a post with a link to a podcast episode, whatever platform you're publishing that on. What you're going to do now we start pulling and taking apart pieces of this larger piece of content. So an easy thing to do, pull a quote. A lot of times people will say, oh, but quotes should be from, celebrities or industry gurus. No, you're an expert in your industry. Quote yourself. Give yourself that authority. Pull a line from this piece of content that's meaningful and make it a quote. Use a Canva graphic or use a brand photo. Make a post with it, but dive a little deeper. You're not just going to put the quote and leave it at that, right? You want to dive a little bit deeper in here to say, why is this meaningful? Why am I sharing this quote? What does it mean for you being in my audience? So share a little bit more detail on what they should do with that quote and how that applies to them and where they are based on who you're serving and what they're asking for help with. So this is number 2 right here. That's your second piece of content. Now, what you can do is, again, we're always going back to this big piece of content. That's why this is so important. Now, you're going to take a little segment, maybe it's a paragraph, or if your blog is like a 5-step method for managing your time, pull one step and make a short video. This could be a reel on Instagram. It could be a mini or Instagram IGTV. It could be a little video you put on Facebook. Just 1 to 3 minutes even. I wouldn't go more than 4 minutes. That's usually when people start to tap out and close out of that video, but do a video. Again, taking one little section, not the whole thing. That's your third piece of content. Again, coming right from here, right from that big one. And the nice thing about doing the videos, you can do more than one, but you're just going to pull different segments from here. So this could really be number 3 and number 4 pieces of content if you want. It's up to you. You can do multiple mini pieces with video. Then what you're going to do, similar to number 3, create mini posts. So maybe if you have a 5-step methodology in your blog for 5 steps of how to achieve time management, 1 step will be video. Maybe steps 2 and 3 are 2 separate mini posts. And that can, again, be more than one post. That could be 4 to 5. It could be you do 3 of these. But again, it's mini little segments coming from here. So you're not recreating this for every piece of content. You have your main piece right here that's feeding into all of these. Another option is create a poll or ask a question. So both Facebook and Instagram, and I believe even LinkedIn, they have the ability to create a poll or to ask a question to your audience where they can reply, they can vote, they can reply with an answer to the question. And what's really cool about this is you're going to ask them a question or you're going to ask them a poll to vote on that's targeting what their challenges are with this topic. So it could be a question, again, I'll go off the topic of time management since I've been using that as an example, but it could be something like, hey, for those of you, struggling with time management, do you use a planner? Or how many days do you plan out your day? And then it could have all these different options to choose from. And that way you can gauge your audience and say, okay, if no one's using a planner ever, that might be something I want to educate them on. But don't leave it there with just doing a poll. Then after the poll is done, close the poll and say, okay, so a lot of people responded with this answer. Here's some information on how this can help you. How this topic, I'll expand on a piece here and share some tips for how to get through these challenges. That can be, number 6 for the week. Just a nice poll or a question. What's nice about the diversity is it's not just a post, it's a quote, a video, mini posts, a poll or a question, so you're interacting with your audience in different ways. Another is to do a mini Q&A session live. So towards the end of the week, you've been providing all this value and all this content. And people might have questions, so you can do 15 minutes even. It doesn't have to be a whole hour where you're sitting around waiting for people to come in. Do a quick 15-minute live on Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, everyone, I'm going live at this time. Jump in, ask your question. I'll hot seat coach you, or I'll answer that live for you. So that creates 2 posts, because you're going to post the information about the live. You're going to let people know that you're doing this, and then you're actually going to go live. So now you've got, just with this, 8 pieces of content and 8 different ways you're interacting with your audience, and it all comes right from there. So none of this is you creating brand new content every day, sitting and saying, what am I going to post? What should the topic be? You're just pulling. You're pulling from that center, from that main source. So that's what repurposing means when it comes to social media content. Start with one bigger one and then feed off of that with a lot of mini ones. The nice thing about this is a lot of times we have topics that we want to share with our audience, but again, one post doesn't really do it. It offers a little bit, but they might want more. So this allows you to deepen the value of your topic into multiple different forums and different ways of engaging with your audience while educating them. When I do this, it spans a whole week. So I don't, put all of this into 1 or 2 days. It's, hey, Monday, I start with my quote. Here's my Monday mindset quote. It's based on a topic. Stay tuned for posts and tips regarding this, for a live training on this. I kind of let them know what to expect for the week, and they know this is going to be my topic right here. So they'll look out for different posts. They might want to join my live training if it's something that they're challenged with. So it gives them a little bit of a heads up. Let's see. Hi, Trisha. Georgianne, I agree. Everybody needs Canva. 100%. All right, so now I'm going to shift gears from repurposing into streamlining. So now that you have this strategy down, and feel free if you want to take a picture of the video of how this looks right now for future reference, go for it. But now that you have the strategy of what repurposing means for your content, I want to get into how you can now put a process around doing this on a weekly basis. Again, give it a shot. It might take more than 1 week to really get the hang of it. I don't expect you to start this 1 week and become a pro. It took some tweaking for me to figure out how to best do it for myself. But what you want to do is really create a method around this strategy that works best for you. What I personally do is I tend to create my content at the end of the week for the following week. So today is Thursday, for example. What I'm doing is, I'm a pen and paper kind of gal. I dump a bunch of content on there for this big piece of content I'm going to do, which will be a blog post. I'm brain dumping. What are the buckets of information I'm sharing? It's kind of like a skeleton rough draft that I create today. And then what I do is I put it away, because I like to create content over more than 1 day. It's just kind of how I process information. Tomorrow on Friday, I'm going to pick this piece of paper back up, and I'm going to fill in all the gaps. I'm going to really kind of flesh it out more, fill in all the details, finalize it. This big piece of content will be finalized tomorrow. So my brain dump today will take me probably 30 minutes, maybe 45. Tomorrow when I finalize it, that might take me again maybe 30 to 45 minutes. So that's about an hour, hour and a half right there. And then Friday later in the afternoon, after I take a little break from finalizing this piece of content, I'm going to start pulling what I want to do for these. So I'm going to say, okay, here's my quote. I'll pull my quote out, throw it on my Canva graphic, put some detail around it. Again, the detail is probably going to come from here. Why did I choose that quote? There's going to be something in here that I'm going to pull. Save that for later. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, where do I want to do a little segment for a video? What's a good paragraph I'm going to read? I might make a note or copy and paste that into another doc. Okay, I'm going to film that video. What are a couple posts that I want to make and provide some detail on? What are some mini segments in here? A step or a tip that I want to provide via a post. What question or poll do I want to ask? What information do I want to get from my audience about this topic, about their knowledge of the topic, about their challenges with this topic? So I'll ask that. And then I do a live training, so my Q&A is kind of part of my live training. But that's how I do it. By Friday evening, Friday late afternoon, I'm done for the next week. So I can start the weekend off knowing my content's done. Monday morning, I'm not scrambling, thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to post? When am I going to make it? It's done. I use a virtual assistant. I have her for 10 hours a week, and I'm not the one posting my social media content. She is. She goes into my Facebook, my Instagram, and my LinkedIn. She pulls it from Asana, and she posts it on all my platforms. So I really, aside from liking comments or responding to comments, I don't have much to do with my social media during the week. And it's amazing. Because I used to feel like I was on it all day long. I was either creating the content or posting the content. Now I kind of spend it at the later portion of the week, and then I'm done for like a whole week. And it's the best feeling ever. I no longer feel rushed in the morning. So for the most part, people that answered my poll on Instagram and Facebook were saying that they spend maybe 2 to 4 hours a week on content creation, some in the 4 to 6 hour range. I think 2 to 4 hours is a pretty, fair amount. Like I said, I probably, if I were to total the whole amount of time, I would say mine's probably around 3 hours. I do about 5 to 6 posts a week. But those of you that are in the 4 to 6 range, try this out. Implement this and see if you can shrink that time a little bit. Streamline that for you and not have to create new content all the time. Again, as business owners, we have so many other things that we need to be doing. Interacting with our clients, doing client work, nurturing our audience, working on projects related to our business so we can continue to grow, networking, finding referral partners. I mean, the list goes on and on. You're always finding new things you have to do for your business based on what stage you're at with it. You don't want to spend 80% of your time on here, right? You want to spend some time, but not that much. And I feel like that's where people get stuck, is they feel like they're spending so much time on there. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that, implementing this strategy will lessen the amount of time you spend and maybe lessen the stress or the rush of having to create new content every single day. And I'd love for you to try it out and let me know. Post in the group, did you try it out and what was the feedback you had? Was it valuable? Did you notice a difference? Also, if you are trying to grow your service-based side hustle and you have a goal to make it a full-time online business this year, book a call with me. I'm always accepting new clients. My program's evergreen. You never have to wait for a certain date to join. I would love to see how I can help you. But other than that, I'm going to end the training by looking in my comments to see if I missed any questions or anything. Let's see, Georgianne, brain dump, I love that. Similar to brainstorming. Yeah, absolutely. Brain dumping and brainstorming, very similar, 100%. It's really just getting all your thoughts out there and not trying to be formal or fancy about it, because it doesn't matter, right? It's really for you. So whatever that may look like in terms of brainstorming or brain dumping, you do it every day for your content. That's awesome. It's a great way to narrow down what you want to focus on. Trisha, I was afraid of it at first, but now I can't live without it. Yeah, Canva, for anybody who is watching this or is going to watch it later, Canva is a wonderful website for graphic design with posts. From somebody like myself who does not really have a creative bone in her body, Canva is really a lifesaver. They have templates, You can upload your brand photos, your brand colors, your logo, everything in there. It makes it very easy to create posts that look really professional and really nice, but don't take you as much time because you're not starting from scratch. So Trish, I'm glad that you found that really helpful and you've been using it since. Georgie and I always try to constantly think about how to get people to the next stage of the funnel and include like subscribe buttons, links to buy, or links to free downloads, and don't forget your call to action. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Call to actions can, again, be a little diverse in what those are. So you don't want every call to action on your post be book a call with me, because people will get kind of sick of that. Today on my post, I said, hey, drop a comment. How else do you repurpose your content? Right? I'm engaging with them. I want some information. How else are you doing this? I put some ideas down, but there's more ways of repurposing. Or you could, drop a link for a freebie. Hey, check out this PDF doc or this ebook I made. Join my live training. Book a call, but mix it up a little bit. Mix it up for sure. Canva has blown up my content creation. It's once you started, you can't really go back. I agree. Canva's a wonderful resource. Awesome. Are there any other questions before I go ahead and hop off? Again, I would love to hear how this strategy works for you if you end up implementing it. So please let me know and keep me posted. Drop some comments for me, or feel free to ask questions. Post in the group or DM me if you have any questions or you want to follow up on this a little bit more. Otherwise, I'd love to hear how it's working for you. All right. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week.